Hello people! Today we're going to look at some of the new features in GarageBand 10.1. If you are familiar with the last version of GarageBand, you can pretty much do everything you could do before, but you're going to need to find these things, menu functions, in different places. So let's get started. The first thing that's changed is down here at the bottom. The icon itself is a little bit different. So we have the amplifier along with the GarageBand guitar there. So once you click on that, the first time it's going to ask you a couple questions. You just want to click next and continue until you get to this screen here. This is a new project screen. There are also some videos which will teach you how to play different instruments, and you can order different lessons for different songs. But we're going to stick to the new project screen. Each of these has a different function. If you want to deal mainly with traditional keyboard sounds, you click here. This is if you're plugging in electric guitar. This is mainly to record your voice or do podcasting. This one is featured so you can make a ringtone, obviously. For hip-hop music, it gives you a mix of different drums and analog synthesizers, electronic, solid blend of drum kits and pulsating synths, and then songwriter, which starts you off with some drums, guitar amps, and vocal tracks. So let's open up with the keyboard collection. Double click on it. Opens up. Takes a minute. There we go. So it defaults to give you all of these different choices for keyboards. And if you click on any one and play your MIDI keyboard on your tray beneath your desk, you should be able to hear the cool sounds they make. I'm going to demonstrate with musical typing up here. If you go Window, Show Musical Typing, you can hear tone wheel, 80s synthesizer lead. So there's some cool different sounds in here. Also, you'll notice, there you go. I'm not sure why this one isn't highlighting. There you go. All right, this is a lot of stuff, and you're probably not going to want to use all of this. So to get rid of the different track heads, all you have to do is click on one of these track heads. Then you can either hit on your keyboard Command Delete, that one went away, or you can go up here and you go to Track, Delete Track. And that just took away the last one that was highlighted. Let's take away the classic electric piano. So Track, Delete Track. All right. I'm going to delete a bunch of these with the Command Delete key so we have some room to work. There we go. We'll leave the piano there. Next thing I want to take a look at is right here. This area right here is called the workspace because this is where you do all your work. You can either record on the MIDI keyboard in this here, or if you have a vocal track, you can record using your voice or like an acoustic guitar. And in the last version of GarageBand, the Loops browser button was at the bottom, but now we have Apple Loops button up here. If I click on that, here are where you find all your loops. The first time you do this, it's going to take a couple minutes to what's called index the loops. Just click the button, let it index the loops. Again, it'll take a couple minutes to do that, but once you do it the first time, they'll all pop up. Same as the previous GarageBand, if you want to add a track or a loop, you click on it, and then you click and hold, and you drag it to where it says drag Apple Loops here. So drag Apple Loops here. If you want to loop, meaning keep repeating that, you would put your pointer up to the upper right hand corner till it turns into a loop like that. Click and then drag. And then it keeps repeating that. If you want to trim it, make it shorter, if you put your cursor down here in the lower right hand corner, you can pull it back and make it shorter. Okay. Notice that when I have my cursor in the lower right hand corner and I start dragging, there are no notes there. So it's not looping it, it's just giving me more extra space, and I don't usually want that. What I want to do is loop. Okay, so again, you have the cursor to loop, you have the cursor to trim. You got to know the difference between the two. Also, you have green tracks, and this is MIDI, musical instrument digital interface. That's just software notes. And then the blue track is like real recording, and it has a blue wave form on there. That's the wave. So if I hit play here, I'm going to trim this up a bit. There we go. They both play together very nicely. The next thing we want to take a look at is how to add new tracks other than dragging loops in, like you just saw me do. I clicked on a loop and dragged it in. You can also add new tracks, like let's say you want to add a different kind of keyboard. You click this plus button here, new track, brings up this menu. If you want to add a software instrument, one of the green ones, to play through your MIDI keyboard, you do it here. If you want to record your voice, you click that. If you want to do a record a bass or guitar plugged in through a mixer, like into your computer itself, you can hit here. And this adds a drum loop. You can choose different styles of drums to add. So let's go ahead and we're going to add an audio loop. We click create, and right there is my audio loop. You see it's picking up my voice. Every time I talk, it pops up. And if I want to record myself, I'll put the playhead here so it doesn't record over the music. Right now it's going to count me in. It's going to click 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can record myself. So hit record. Now I'm recording my voice over this. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I hit stop. So that's how you record yourself. You can add effects to your voice. If you go back to right here, I'm gonna, well, let's talk about this right here that popped up. This is the cycle region area, say cycle range. You can turn that on and off using this button right here, cycle. I'm gonna turn it off, then back on. Now I just want it to cycle over what I recorded. So I highlight right above that. And then it gives me this menu up here. This will give me different effects. So if I want to do a tube vocal, and if I hit play, now I'm recording my voice over this. Fuzzy vocal. Lovely. Now I'm recording my voice over this. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So it gives you different styles. Distorted guitar. Kind of crazy. All right, so that's how you can change effects using the add audio track and then use the menu over here. Now let's add a instrument track, software track. So again, I click here and I'm going to choose this, play sounds from a Mac, click create. So this is it defaulted to classic electric piano. Let's say I wanted, instead of electric piano, I want a guitar sound. So over here on the left hand side, I click guitar. It'll give me some choices. If I want a hard rock guitar, again, this is software instrument, so I can play through my keyboard. I'm going to do the virtual keyboard and just type in. Or I can do a synthesizer, like a bass, FM wobble. And I can record on that too. So if I hit record, it'll again count me 4. Oh, I got to turn off the cycle region. Record. So that's how to add a software track and record using a software track. Now let's take a look up here. This up here, this area is called the beat ruler. It outlines the measure numbers right up here. I can zoom in like that. So now I have 4 and then 4.3, 5, 5.3, or I can zoom out so it's smaller. So you can make the beat ruler bigger and larger. If you click up here, you can switch from beats of the project to time. So now instead of beats, it gives me seconds. Usually if we're working with music, we'll do beats though. It's kind of best. Then I showed you the cycle region button right here. You can cycle any area you want, move it over, trim it, so you can have kind of fun with it. If I do it over a really short amount of space, and if I hit the play button, fun, right? But that is a good tool when you want to kind of fine tune a spot and fix something in a small section. I'm going to turn the cycle region off. The LCD display. This is the LCD display, liquid crystal display. Kind of imitates an old school clock display. It's also called the control bar, and it shows where the track head is. Notice it's going down. Shows me my beats per minute. If I click on that, I can change the beats per minute to 220 instead of 120. It'll go faster. I can go back to 120. Gives me the key I'm in, and then we can change our time signature from any even time signature. You can't do 3/4, but you can do 2/4, 4/4, 8/4, that kind of stuff. Next on your menu, the track volume control. So right here is our track volume control. So let's say I want to adjust the volume of this track right here. I would click just my solo button here, so now I'm only going to hear that track, and when I hit play, I can turn it down. So now it's softer. That right there is a track volume control. I click that again. Notice when I soloed this one, all the other ones went gray. So I click it again to turn it off so it's not soloed. I showed you where to find the loops browser. Click that button right here. Here are all your loops. There are either divided by instruments like bongos. I click reset, or you can do clean, kind of style instead of instrument. So if I want clean organ, these are all my clean organs. If I want a melodic clean organ, there you go. Oh. So this is the only dry, clean organ. Jamaican Jaeger oyster. Fun. Turn it off. And always click reset when you're looking for something else. There's also the loops search menu right here. So let's say I wanted something that had trumpets. If I typed in trumpet, it gives me nothing. There's no trumpet stuff. Let's try strings. Look at all these different string things. If you're searching for sound effects, type in phone. There's a whole bunch of phone effects. So it's a good way, if you know what you're looking for, to search for different loops. The master volume control. Up here, that's your master volume control. So if I bring back to the beginning, take that, turns the volume up and down for the whole track. Pan controls. The pan controls determine if the sound is coming through the right headphone or the left headphone. Right here is your pan control. If let's solo this track, and if you have your headphones on, you should get a good feel for what that can do. I'm going to hit play and play with the wobble, or play with the pan controls. So to the right ear, to your left ear, right ear, left ear. So you can mess around with the pan controls to get the feeling of instruments in different places in the room. The transport controls, that's this area right up here. Probably didn't know those were called transport controls, but this rewind, fast forward, the back to the beginning button that brings you all the way back to the beginning, unless you're in cycle region, it just brings the beginning of the cycle. Play button and record. These are your transport controls. And they do what they say. They transport you to different spots in the workspace. The playhead is located at the very top of this yellow line. Okay, this is your playhead. You can position it anywhere you want to start playing. Real audio track, we talked about that before. The real audio tracks, if you add a new track, they're the blue ones. I'm gonna So this is a real audio track. This is a real audio track. It was recorded with a microphone, not with a MIDI keyboard. Software track are the green tracks that are recorded with a MIDI keyboard. If I double click on a software track, it'll give me this in the menu down here. I can actually make it a little bit bigger. It shows me the notes where they're located on the keyboard. So this note right here is an F. Right there is the C. It's called the C2. And I can mess with these notes. I can make them shorter. I can move them up or down. So that's a really nice thing about the software instruments, is you can make adjustments after you record. With the software instruments, you can't do that. You can mess with pitch. You can do a little pitch correction if you want, but there's really not a lot of stuff you can do to change after you've recorded. The track heads are located right here. These are the track heads: Steinway Grand Piano, Classic Drive, FM Wobble Bass, PMW Perk Synth. These are all your track heads right over here, and that's where the volume control for the tracks are located, along with the solo button. So you can just hear one track at a time. Notice the other one's faded out. And the mute buttons are located right there too. So if I want to hear everything but that PWM Perk Synth, I hit the mute button. If you have a bunch of stuff muted, see all these are blue, you can do a kind of neat thing. You hold down the Option key, you click on any one, and it unmutes all of them. So you don't have to go through and individually click each one. So if I have a few, I just hold down the Option key, click on it, and then it turns them off. The metronome is right here. If that is a deep purple, then that's going to click every time you play, and it's going to click at 120 beats per minute, whatever the tempo is that you've selected. If you want the tempo to go up and down, you can click in that region. I'm moving my cursor down, or click on it and go up. So that was fun. Let's bring it back to 120. Open loop browser, we already did that. It's located over here is your loop browser icon. Open media browser, that's right here. If you have anything located in iTunes on your computer, which you probably wouldn't because these were all re-imaged, they would be here. So right now they're empty, but if perhaps I ever put anything in your iTunes, they would be available to drag into your project. So you can drag in songs, you can drag in movies into your project, which is pretty cool, and you would find them in your media browser. To view the track info, like what's going on in the track, you double click on the track head. Actually, you don't even have to double click. So if I want to view the info for FM Wobble Bass, I click on that. This tells me the notes. When they're quantized to 16th notes, here's the information for the Classic Drive. So that is located there. And to on-view it, you just click that scissor icon up there. So if I click the scissor icon, it gives me all this information. If it's too much, I click it again and it goes away. Next thing we're looking at is a zoom slider. The zoom slider is the same thing as your Beats bar slider here. You can zoom in and zoom out, so it lets you look closely at tracks. If I double click on this track head right here, it brings it in here, and I can also zoom even closer in and out on this zoom slider here. Helps you edit files. So if I wanted to trim this to this point, I just click there and trim it up to right there. Mute and unmute track, show those right here are mute buttons. You hold down the Option key to unmute them, and the same thing with soloing. Hit the headphones to solo one line, and hit it again to unsolo it. Now the automation control, the automation is a setting where you can automatically make the track increase in volume or decrease in volume. So right up here, this right here will turn on, show or hide the automation. So I click that. Now we have the automation lines. This is the automation lines shown. So right now it shows volume. If I wanted this volume to start off loud and then get softer, I put a dot here, and drag down. Now let's solo that track and listen to that automation. So it gets softer as we go along. I'm going to stop it. You can also do automation for panning. So instead of volume, I'm going to choose panning right here. And right now it's this gray line, so I can go up, add a dot, go down, dot, and go up, add a dot, go down. And as I play this in your headphones, you should hear it traveling from one ear to another ear. So I'll put my track head there. So that is your automation control right there. So you can mess around, play with some different features. You'll notice there are different automation controls, echo, reverb. You can control those lines, add more echo, less echo as we go along. These are different synthesizer automations you can mess around with and see what exactly they do. But that is your GarageBand 10.1. And you're going to be, hopefully you took notes on this, and when you're done, you're going to take a little quiz on all of the tools, all the features in GarageBand, and the purposes for each of the different menu items. Okay, good luck.